Hi, good evening everybody, or good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where this video finds you or when it finds you. This is a proposal for Charity Cup version 3.0. It's a proposal of where perhaps we could be going in the next decade. And so this is I chose this format of explaining it because I wouldn't forget. So it would be more focused and so on and so forth, and you can watch it 10 times and so you can understand it, or if you have questions you can come prepared based on this. So this is just a different way of explaining the way I see things. Proposal version 3.0. Alright, so first of all I want to start off with what I think is really critical to moving forward. It's a mission. We have a mission for Charity Cup, and then you'll see I'll talk about the vision, but the mission is, the definition of it is who we are, or why do we exist. I want to emphasize that not only Charity Cup should have a mission and vision, but so should you personally, or me personally, or every person should know who we are and why we exist on this planet. So it's the same thing with a ministry or perhaps a business. The next thing is the vision. The vision definition is a picture of what you will become if you lived out your mission. It's also a picture of your mission lived out, if you want to put it in other words. So if you're to live out your mission, it would look like this picture of whatever the vision words is. If you lived out your mission, what does that look like in real life? That's sort of what the vision will tell you. It's like telling your legs what to do in order to fulfill the mission. That's what a vision statement does. It will tell your legs what to do in real world to fulfill the mission. The mission doesn't change. The vision can change. It has an expiration date. It could be fulfilled at one point, and then basically what would happen is new goals will be set in place. That's what. So it's tied to driven. Tied or driven by dated goals. Also, once goals are reached, new ones are set in place. So that's the difference between the mission. The mission is sort of eternal. It's who you are. You can't change that. Now, there's probably situations where your mission does change, but that's for the most part that will not change. All right. The mission of Charity Cup is to serve the church by igniting a passion to serve and equipping to serve, creating opportunities to serve, and you guys all know this. So. Can you remember those three words? Really important, because I'll come back to them. The vision is three key words also: awakening the giant, and investing in people, and expanding the kingdom. Now, all this is for the purposes of the church, and we define another version as the body of Christ. Alright, remember these three words: ignite, equip, and create. Who? The body of Christ, right? This is what every ministry should go through this filter. Does it ignite, equip, or create? Because if it doesn't, we shouldn't be doing it. And so this is the filter I used moving forward of every ministry that we do or will ever do. And it's because that should be our mission. That's what we live for. That's what we're here for. And so these three elements need to be present in every ministry, and each ministry needs to have at its heart one or all of these. All right. So I remember I said that I believe personally that every ministry should have a mission statement. Everybody knows that, right? A mission and a vision statement. But I also believe, and more strongly than anything, I think every person on earth should have a mission and a vision, personal mission and vision. Especially the Church of Christ, especially the body of Christ. Why? Because the Great Commission, or commission, right, is fulfilled by everybody's mission. So in other words, when every Christian, or every person in the body of Christ understands their mission and vision, when you put all that together, it fulfills the Great Commission. It should. God promises that. And that's what I personally believe. So this is very important in the next years of Charity Cup, because if your personal mission does not merge or synchronize with Charity Cups, at least for a while, you shouldn't be here. And this is what the next slide should say. Basically, your personal mission, you should all know what it is. If you're married or if you're not single, you should all know what it is. And it should coincide with the Charity Cup mission. That's why the mission is so important for Charity Cup and defining it. And by defining this, you'll be able to tell if the two coincide and if your values are the same, if you're going in the same direction. If you're not going in the same direction, you shouldn't be here. You should not be here. You should find a different ministry, or perhaps figure that out. But anyway, when those two things merge, the personal mission of everybody in the Charity Cup and the Charity Cup mission, when the two merge and they're in the same direction, then there's something called communitas that happens. If you guys remember, that was defined, communitas is defined as the community on the mission. And that's when everything synchronizes and it energizes or synergizes, right? Things move faster when not only Charity Cup is going in a direction, but you feel your calling is in that direction. And so communitas happens, and that's powerful. And that's what we want to take Charity Cup on the next level. We want to take it on the communitas and a community on a mission. We're on a movement, as some people call it, right? And so that's what we're going to really focus on moving forward. Everybody needs to find a mission personally, not just Charity Cup, but everybody should have a mission and vision. All right, now here's a diagram of perhaps what the next few years could look for Charity Cup. First of all, the Charity Cup, it would become Charity Cup Ministries. It would be called Charity Cup Ministries. And you picture a bus, right? And we've done that in the past. And this chart would tell you who's on the bus and what are the bus seats, like who sits in what seat. And so because we're using the analogy of a bus, I've named it, instead of the board, I've named it the steering team or committee, but the steering team sounds nice. I thought it's very appropriate, right? You're steering the bus, and that's what they would do. And so these are down here. There are a few of the ministries that we currently have that are full time, right? Full time means there's day in and day out operations happening. So Charity Cup Sports is one of them, or the fundraising events, or the league that we're trying to create. Navobi Sports Club is one of them. The Orphans 360 is one of them that's going day in and day out. The mission trips are planned for or happening year-round, pretty much. And the Charity Cup Incubator is a new one that I want to talk about more in depth. And the Charity Cup Incubator will synchronize with all these, and I'll tell you how. But anyway, all these ministries would have a president. All right, and these presidents would all report to the Chief Executive Officer, the CEO. In addition to each president, there would be a Charity Cup Ministries, right? The sort of the overall ministry, Chief Financial Officer, the Chief Marketing Officer, and the Chief Operations Officer. And what the purpose of these people are: the financial guy would focus on fiscal responsibility, and also in creating a financial system for all these ministries, in not necessarily running it day to day, but they would work with every one of them to have a finance person, and they would also hold them accountable at the end of the year for their budget, meeting their budget, and they would hold accountable for any, hopefully no fraud. They would, because this team, the steering team, would be legally responsible for the whole ministry. So this is a much needed team. The board of directors we can't do away with, because legally we have to have one. The Chief Marketing Officer would be responsible for the overall marketing of the ministry, right? But what they would do is they would work with every ministry to develop their own marketing strategy, keeping in mind what Charity Cup is about and what our core values and our mission and vision is. So this person would need to be on the steering team, because the marketing person would sort of sound the alarm to the rest of the world what direction we're going in, and make sure that we're all marching to that. And so he has to be part of this team and participate in the discussions. No use retelling them what we're discussing and what we're all about. They need to be on this team that's steering the whole entire bus, because the marketing is sort of that loudspeaker that's outside the bus and telling the world where we're going, and so they need to be on this bus. The Chief Operations Officer would create structures for each of these ministries and make sure that our model is working, and everybody's kind of doing their job. And if there are inefficiencies in the system, they would work with each ministry to develop their own efficient system, whatever that is. This would mean that every ministry would develop their own system. It wouldn't be sort of copy and paste. It would have to be dependent on what each one needs. But this guy here would help them do that, and you would maybe create a website. Maybe you would create online information tools that they can use. A good example that for the Charity Cup Sports, they were responsible for the registration system and bringing that tool about and suggesting. And so that's what the Chief Operations Officer would do. They report to the Chief Executive Officer. The chairman of the board of the steering committee and the co-chair, they would sort of steer the overall team. They would create the meetings, and they would sort of be the part-time people. These people are all responsible full-time, day in and day out. These guys would sort of be the part-timers, and they would meet every 3 months with the steering team, right? And that's how that would work. And perhaps in the future we can have another advisory team up here to hold this team accountable. I hope that makes sense. Moving on forward. Now, I do want to say one more thing. These ministries would all be tied to Charity Cup legally, and they would be not independent. They would be tied, but they would operate independently to create their own infrastructure and so on and so forth. We can talk about that later more. Okay, each of these ministries, in order to be a ministry, has to fulfill part of the mission and part of the vision, and each of these have 3 elements. And so I've listed here what, for instance, the Charity Cup Incubator how would it fulfill the mission? Well, first of all, it would create opportunities to serve, right? Because it would incubate people and ministries, and so it would create new ministries. It would equip people that are part of the incubator or that would go through the program, like a leadership program. It would ignite a passion in them to serve. Second of all, the mission tours would, first of all, ignite a passion to serve, right? They would take people on a mission trip. They would equip them before they go. And third of all, they would create opportunities to serve. But really, their main focus will be ignite. It won't be these other two. The first one. So these are listed in the order of sort of importance for these ministries, right? 1, 2, 3. They're not just randomly put there. Orphans 360 would first of all focus on equipping, second of all igniting, and third of all on creating. Club Sportif Nerbobi will be focused on these 2 things, equipping and igniting. They're not really creating opportunities because there's nothing to create in a way. Charity Cup Sports would focus on igniting a passion to serve and creating opportunities to serve, but not really on equipping. There's not much equipping going on. Okay, and as far as the vision is concerned, these are the groups that the vision that would be fulfilled through these ministries, through Charity Cup Sports, be awakening the giant, expanding the kingdom. Second of all, first of all, in clubs, Navobi Sports Club, investing in people and expanding the kingdom. Orphans 360 would be investing in people, expanding the kingdom. Mission Tours is expanding the kingdom, awakening the giant, and investing in people. And the incubator would consist of investing in people first of all, second of all, expanding the kingdom, and awakening the giant third of all. Alright, and so here's the next slide. I want to explain what this incubator is all about. That's what this slide is about. So the incubator, first of all, what it does is it recruits people, qualified individuals from these ministries that are already existing, and identifies them and brings them into the incubator program, which then will develop that person. It's like pouring into the bottle, in each individual bottle, if you were to have a bunch of bottles, taking each one up, pouring into it, rather than just taking a bucket and throwing it, hoping that water will fall into a big pile of bottles. It sort of filling it each one individually, so that's what the incubator would do as far as the program. Alright, second of all, after that person comes out of the incubator and it's done, it goes through that program of a year or 2 or whatever we decided it would be. It would first of all go back, and once equipped, it would intern in one of our ministries here, or perhaps start a new ministry. So then that person would get a little square here, another ministry right there, and it'd sort of fit in this parentheses, and the process start all over again. So, or perhaps they will leave the ministry and become ministers in their own chosen profession, and that's fine too. Moving on to the next. So, Charity Cup Ministries, the incubator, and what happens? The incubator would be divided into 2 departments. Now, the term incubator comes from eggs. Eggs before they're hatched in a laboratory. They're incubated and they're kept on this warm light until they're ready to hatch, and then you take them out and they're done. They're set to go. They can cook. Sort of that's how these would work. But we'd have two portions. We would incubate people and incubate businesses or ministries, because to me they're the same thing. Business or ministries, I don't think there's a difference. They're both spiritual. That's how I'm putting this together. You can be created for business. I think God gave you that gift. All right, the people incubator. Once the people go through the people incubator, which is like probably it will be a program, a leadership program. What they will do is they will leave our ministry and pursue maybe their personal vision and goals, which means they're not going to stay with us. They will just pursue whatever God puts on their heart. Or they will lead one of our existing ministries that I showed you, or perhaps they will initiate a new ministry or business. And what will happen when they're all said and done? This will happen. That man of God may become competent, equipped for every good work. Timothy 3:17, you can read it on your own. But that's the goal of this. And that's the goal really of this whole incubator, is this, that every man of God may be competent, equipped for every good work. That's what the end goal is. That's what the vision of this is. That's why this will exist. Okay, on the business side, on the business ministry incubator, what it will do is it will develop new ministries and businesses using these people. Because once they're equipped, now they got to find a ministry and business, or perhaps something, and so that's where this comes in. It will incubate that. And it would also focus on the current ministries that we have, on maturing them so they would leave the incubator and become a full-time ministry. 5 to 10% of the resources we put back in the Charity Cup ministries, and that's 5 to 10 of the revenue they incur, so we can start the process all over again. All right, lastly, if you were to take our mission, ignite plus equip plus create the body of Christ, it only equal one thing, and that is leadership. And if you define leadership, again, if we were to define why Charity Cup would exist in the next 10 years, it's because of this statement, that man or woman of God may be competent and equipped for every good work. Timothy 3:17. That's what a Charity Cup will in the end sum up to. We will ignite, equip, and create. And once those people are ignited and they're equipped, and we'll create opportunities for them to serve, they'll be called leaders. And you know what that'll mean? That they're equipped and competent for God's body to fill the Great Commission through their mission and vision, their personal mission and vision. Thank you for listening and watching, and God bless you, and may God's will be done.